Welcome to a special live edition of Haunted Talks, the official podcast of the Haunted Walk, offering thematic walking tours in Kingston, Ottawa, and Toronto, Ontario. My name is Jim Dean. I am the creative director, and a very special welcome to our first in-studio audience. It's very exciting, maybe a little nerve-wracking as well, but we're very happy to have you there. And of course, to everyone listening, whether you're a new listener or you've listened to the show before, thanks so much for joining us once again. Now, the reason all these fine people are here today is that we have a very special guest joining us in studio, Jaymes White. Now, how to describe Jaymes is a little bit difficult, and we'll get to that in a moment. But I'll just say personally, I've been to 2 of his shows and have kind of left with my jaw dropped, scratching my head, what the heck just happened, and has always been an excellent experience. So we're going to be bringing Jaymes out in a moment. Also want to let you know, a little later, near the end of the show, we will be revealing a big surprise, a big announcement, something that's going to be happening this summer, so make sure you stay tuned for that. As always, our Haunted Walks are running now, more or less our full spring schedule, so we have tours going on Kingston, Ottawa, and Toronto, as well as our Haunted Walk experiences for the summer are now up for sale at places like the Mackenzie King Estate, Upper Canada Village, and Black Creek Pioneer Village in Toronto. So if you're making your plans for the summer, we certainly hope you will make us part of those plans, and you can always find out the information about the tours at our website, which is hauntedwalk.com. Also mention, the winners joining us in studio today, we're following either the Haunted Walk or Jaymes on social media, so if you want to learn about these interesting opportunities that come up, look for us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, all at Haunted Walk. Without further ado, I will bring in a man who has been described as a mentalist, a psychic, and even a witch. He's recently been named Ottawa's Entertainer of the Year, and I know we are in for a great show today. Ladies and gentlemen, I bring in Jaymes White.
Thanks for having me.
You got a lot of eyes on you now, for sure.
Story of my life.
Well, thanks for being with us today. Really looking forward to the conversation. It definitely touches on some of the areas the Haunted Walk deals with, a little bit the paranormal, the psychic, the things that go bump in the night. So very eager to talk about those things. But maybe just start with kind of the first question, which I mentioned in the intro, is you're a little bit difficult to describe what you do. I have a list here: psychic, medium, mind reader, witch, mentalist. I mean, all of those things. So maybe could you describe for us, how do you describe yourself and what is it you do?
The easiest way to describe me is basically I'm an expert at reading people. So I've trained myself for 22 years to basically just look at someone and read them pretty dead on. I think if any of you have seen my shows, you know how good I am at that. It's called cold reading. The psychic mediums, a lot of people say I'm a psychic medium, but I don't have any special powers, you want to call it, or kind of my views are, I think everyone's psychic in their own way, and what I mean by that is everyone has a unique talent they can use. So if you play guitar your whole life, you might be good at guitar. So maybe that's your intuition or your gift. So for me, for whatever reason, I'm just good at reading people.
So it's not
or
like
manipulating people, I guess. Is that easier way to describe it? You guys see, yeah.
We're going to get to that question a little later on. But so it's not like you're getting pictures in your mind from the person you're dealing with.
It's statistical commonalities. So basically how someone dresses, how someone acts, how someone speaks says so much about the person. It's actually crazy. People are kind of put in a box. And what I mean by a box is kids are harder to read because they're young, right? But when they get older, they kind of get ingrained into society. And what happens, they get put in these little boxes. So, for example, someone right now is wearing a blue. Blue basically is the emotional color. They're a more emotional person, sometimes suffer from depression, things like that. So you're basically putting the commonalities depending on the shoes. A lot of times if you want to figure out if someone's left or right handed, you look at their watch. It's always the opposite hand. If they have a pocket open here, that tells you what hand they are as well. Also the belt buckle, which way towards which side it is. So it's observation essentially.
We all like to think of ourselves, I think, as individuals. We have these unique quirks and behaviors and attitudes. But what you're saying is there's kind of like predominant patterns that you've developed the ability to quickly identify and read.
I don't know how to say this nicely, but basically I'm stereotyping people. That's essentially what I'm doing. And I would say if you ever see my shows or ever see my professional work, because I do train law enforcement, I do train detectives, I do train people in these sensitive areas. If these skills didn't work, why the hell would I be training them? So I would say people are, I want to say 80 or 90% the same, like the category kind of person, and there's that 10% that makes you unique. And I think everyone's special in their own way. So the thing is, the more I get to know someone, sorry, what's your name?
Kirk.
So for example, if I got to know Kirk more, you would be harder to read because if I told you to do something, you'll be trying to trick me out compared to if I put you on the spot right now because you would be put in the box, if that kind of makes sense. Yeah. So that's kind of probably the easiest way to describe it.
We want to see Jaymes give this a shot. Do we think Jaymes can read anyone in the audience? Let's give a hand for it. Let's see what we can do here.
Man, putting me on the spot right now.
So what I've done is I've entered all your names into a spreadsheet, which I randomized to select you. So if you don't get picked, it's the computer's fault. So the first person I'm going to call up is Christy. Is Christy here? Christy, if you want to come take a seat over. Hand for Christy, everyone. Now, maybe just before Jaymes asks you anything, have you met Jaymes before, or you've never been to his show?
Some stuff about him from my sister-in-law who has been to his shows.
Excellent.
So I'm here.
Okay, so no connections to Jaymes. Jaymes, I'll just take it away. Whatever you need to do.
So first question: what does that tattoo mean to you?
It was a mistake I made with a bunch of friends. Yeah.
So you definitely have 2 kids?
Yes, I do.
Okay. I think you a lot of times do dress to impress. You're not dressing right now. Like this is kind of summer weather. So you're someone that's organized. Did you go to school for like maybe management, business, something in that field? Like Like what did you take?
Business.
Oh, okay. I'm happy with that. That's a good hit. So we'll stop right there. Yeah.
That's awesome. So yeah. So Christy, I mean, how does it feel that Jaymes was able just to pick that stuff up that quickly?
I'm actually pretty good at. Renee could say, I'm pretty good at reading people, and
You do the same kind of stuff.
I do the same kind of stuff, not professionally, but I'm for sure.
So you know it's like patterns on people.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I can kind of read what people are going to do. I'm like the person that sits in the back of the room and just watches, and then I'm okay. Yeah, that's who you are, and I can just
like for example, like you have back problems, right?
Hold let's
sorry.
Let's switch it. Christy, thank you very much.
Yeah, thanks.
But like you see how she's slow.
Well, yeah. Well, let's. What's your name?
What's your name?
Sandra.
Let's go off the list. Sandra, you want to come up and take a seat?
Do you have back problems?
I have a short shoulder, not necessarily back.
Because you see how she was kind of hunched over just a bit.
That was interest.
More interest. Well, I actually
Edge of her seat kind of thing.
Yeah. Are you a Leo?
Virgo,
Leo, same month.
rising sign.
Rising sign, so it's in that kind of frame. Okay, that's why. Tell about you. I think you're someone. Notice how quiet and notice her colors. She's someone that really cares about other people. She wants to make a difference about other people. Remember, blue is the emotional color. I think you're someone. You're definitely intuition, like you believe in spiritualism and whatnot. Did you ever work at like a bank or something like that?
I work in a bank.
Oh, fuck. Yeah, okay. What would you do? You work in a bank full time?
Yeah.
But you have a spiritual side about you, right?
Yes.
Like you always felt this your whole life almost, and it was something that you didn't want to kind of reveal, and then you got kind of more confident, kind of opened up. You do really care about other people. Is that not true?
Yes.
Think of your father and mother, maybe your grandparents or something like that.
Okay.
Don't say it out loud. Is it like Flo, Barbara, or something like that?
My mother's name is Flo.
Okay. And what? I'll explain it after. Do you have kids?
Yes.
Think of your kids. How many kids?
You tell me.
If you're going commonality, is it a boy and a girl?
2 boys, 1 girl.
2 boys and I think of their names right now. I'm getting like. It would be like I could be wrong, but it's like Dylan, Amy, Casey, something like that.
My grandchildren are Amy and Dylan.
Okay, give her a round. I'm happy with that.
Thank you very much. All right, so if you want to pick something,
You want to try to just because
yeah, for sure.
What's your name?
Kirk.
Kirk,
nice
welcome
to
to
meet you.
Kirk. Thanks for joining. All right, let me try first.
Okay. Yeah.
Let's all give it some thought. Kirk's a good-looking guy. I'm going to guess I'm going to guess you are something like a model or some way where you're interacting a lot.
He's definitely a model. Look at his face right now. Yeah.
No, I'm not.
But you want to do that?
No, I used to.
You used to model.
Years
Okay,
ago.
that's not shocking at all. Anything else, or do you want me to go first?
The watch thing now makes
It's a nice watch.
It makes me think he's right-handed. Since you just mentioned that, is that right?
Yeah.
Oh, there we go.
The counter argument is if you have no idea what they are, 85% of people are right-handed. So
Let's see a professional do it, though, James. Let's see what you got.
So the first thing is you went to school, right?
Yeah.
So the thing is, the question I have for you is you're definitely someone that likes the nightlife, so why would you be in Ottawa? So what tells to me, if you went to school, you would have went to a bigger school, probably Toronto, like York, Ryerson, something like that.
Yeah.
What school was it?
Ryerson.
Okay. No, but that's not that basically because I feel like you're a bigger town kind of person, are you not?
Yeah.
You would have, I thought I saw Yeah, you have to. Do you have one like right here, like numbers or something like
Yeah.
that? What does it mean to you?
It's my mom's birthday.
Mom's birthday. Okay, so you're really close. Oh, so okay, that's your. So I didn't get his name, but I got someone else's name. That's pretty good.
Yeah.
Okay, give him a round of applause.
Thank you.
Yes, Kirk?
So
Yeah, so, the obvious question we all have now is like, how did like the tattoo on the shoulder?
statistically, most people don't have just one tattoo, right?
Yeah.
And so he had one here. I was assuming he probably had one here or here in this area, and you probably have another one somewhere, maybe here. Or
I have 10 total.
10. So yeah, so you see, like I have 4, I think. But the thing is, if you see one tattoo, you always assume. And then guys and girls have different placement of tattoos. So I just made a guess you had one kind of in this area. How names work is basically I have 300 of the most common names per generation. So I was trying to guess. Do you see what I'm saying? And then when you hit it, I hit 3 out of 4. That's pretty impressive when we've never met before, you know? And so that's kind of how the name game, I call it. So I go, notes I didn't say. I said I was going to guess your grandparents, but I wasn't specific about it. And then if those first few missed, I would have went for the other side. But when you said, what was it, Florence or Flor?
Flo was my
Flo. So I said Flo and Barbara. I noticed I said more because the 3 most common is Flo, Barbara, and Patricia. So I was watching your face for reaction. If you react, if you don't react, I would have thrown the other name out. Then for the grandkids, 2 out of 3, like you go the youngest kids. So, you know, the most common kids' names, Dylan is a common name. Lillian, Lily is really common. Olivia is really common. Sophia is really common. Jacob, and the other one is Liam. So I put those in, and I actually got 2 or 3, which is pretty cool, and we've never met before, right?
No, that is cool.
Yeah.
So in some ways, are you kind of like a probability machine?
It's all probability. You always go with odds. You always go with so like I said, is if people are 80% the same, you can go with the probability and then have that 10% that you change around sometimes where I'll kind of go with, not my intuition, but go with my gut and be like, I don't think this applies to this person.
That sounds, well, kind of easy on the one hand, but there's a lot of probabilities about a lot of different things. Like, how long did it take you to really to work on and develop this
I've been
skill?
starting to do this since I was 6. I'm 30 now, so I suck at math, so 22, 24 years. It's been a long time. How I kind of got good at this is the same, like, do you mind if I explain it?
Yeah, absolutely.
So I'm an introvert, as you guys can probably tell. I'm not fully in character or anything right now, but I don't connect with people. I never have. And so what happened is I learned to read people, patterns on people, because I don't have a bias. If you're in a relationship and stuff, you kind of you get biased, so you don't know. It's kind of like when you say you're dating someone and they cheat on you and you never saw it coming, but everyone else did. Because you're blinded by the love. It's almost like tunnel vision, what police shouldn't do, but they do all the time. It's looking through a box when there's a million other things around them. So I basically started learning to read people, so I'd get friends to send me pictures of their other friends, and I would basically write an essay of what I thought the person was like. And I got good at that. And then what kind of happens now as a joke, as you probably know, is people send me pictures of the people they're dating, and they go, "Can you describe the person?" I write it up, I tell them what I think, and then I'm always right. Like you, how many pictures have you sent me, and how accurate?
It's got to be in the 30s by now.
And how accurate has it been?
It's been accurate every time I've gone out on any dates.
Like I'm basically like the guy's gonna show up late, he's gonna do this, he's gonna do that. So if any of you want to send me pictures of your dates, knock yourself out. I should make a living doing this. Yeah. Send me. Yeah.
Job for you there. So I'll be curious then, you say you started learning these skills at 5 or 6. What was your first show, and what was that like?
Oh, wait, do you mind if I go back to one more
go
point?
ahead.
So basically, how I'm kind of explaining how cold reading or how to read people works, it's the same principle the psychopaths use. So psychopath, they're kind of average intelligence, same intelligence standards as a normal person, but why are they so good at manipulation? It's because they don't connect with you, so guess what? They learn all of it. It's not that they're smarter than you, but they spent the time learning it all. Same thing with reading people. If you spend the time doing it, you're going to be able to do it. Which is an interesting thing, because a lot of people say, "Oh, these psychopaths are masters of manipulation." No, they're stupid. Like they're not as smart as the media perceives them. They kind of perceive like Ted Bundy is the smartest guy ever. He's a moron. He could have got away with all his crimes, but he was too narcissistic, so it caught him.
So it's almost like an unusual attention to detail.
Yeah, exactly.
About something very specific.
100%. So it's just practice. Anything takes practice. It's just practice. Another thing for cold reading is if the person reminds you of someone, describe the person. You're always right. Or if they remind you of an animal, describe the animal and they have the same characteristics. Just if you guys are ever trying this kind of stuff. So say you meet someone or look at someone and you're trying to read them and they remind you of their friend, describe the friend and you'll be right. It's a technique when I go blank. So say I'm like trying to read you and then I go blank, I'll just describe if you remind me of someone.
And why does that work?
It's, again, my 80% thing.
Okay.
If you're 80% right, people are impressed.
So it's kind of like if my friend behaves in a certain way, so my intuition is telling me there's something similar to a completely unrelated
Yeah, 100%. And the thing is, what people don't realize is if you go with your gut and go to your intuition, you're mostly right. And it sounds stupid, but the thing is, most of the time, when you're wrong, you're not going with your gut. You're going against it. It's almost like you're questioning it. So I find if you honestly go with your gut and go with what you believe in, you're always going to be right. It sounds stupid, but trust me.
So obviously with these skills, and those of you who've been to James's shows knows it can be extremely entertaining. But as you've kind of hinted at a little bit, there's maybe a more practical side to this, or in other ways, it could be used as well. So how have you used these skills in other places? And maybe at the end of that, I would just ask if you could introduce a fellow named Mark Cameron, who I'm going to read a quote from in just a minute.
So basically, my expertise is observation, it's memory, and it's handwriting analysis. So with memory, for example, I can give someone a better than photographic memory in 3 months with 10 minutes a day. Handwriting is basically from how you write. I can tell everything about you. I can tell you when you're lying to me and whatnot. So basically, applying
photographic memory. What was the time? How 10 minutes
3
a day?
months with 10 minutes a day. Because how memory basically works is do you guys want me to explain memory?
Yes.
If someone's walking down and stuff, you do not remember them. But if they're walking down and they're riding a horse or you get in a car accident, you remember that moment. So basically, the whole principle about memory is thinking over the top ridiculous. So if you're trying to remember names, for example, you gotta, like for example, you said your name was Kirk, right? Yeah. So I imagine him with the Captain Kirk gun, because you're never gonna forget it now. Yeah. So basically, that's kind of how memory kind of works as the simplest form. Is you gotta think over the top ridiculous for everything. If the person's name is John, imagine a toilet around their head. It's that easy. That's all you have to do.
Doesn't make it hard though to remember? Like if you keep doing that, don't you have so many ridiculous things though? How do you keep track?
No, like you don't, because your natural memory comes in. So the natural memory kind of puts everything in place. But as long as you have the system. Or it's not even a system, but as long as you use the principles, I've never had trouble. Imagine how easy school was for me.
Any other quick tips? Because I think memory is very interesting. Any other quick tips if we want to improve our memory?
Okay, so if any of you are ever losing your keys or your wallets or anything, imagine that as a grenade or a fire. Wherever you put it down, imagine it blowing up. You got to see the picture in your head. If you don't see the picture in your head, you're not going to remember it. So that's probably the easiest tip to remember everything.
So if you're troubling, when you put your keys down at some point, you think about it like it's going to explode.
Yeah. Or imagine the table getting knocked down, imagine it burning on fire, you're going to always remember where it is.
That's cool.
And then for names, because I got asked all the time, how do you remember names? Again, you just got to associate a picture to their face. So if their picture was a weird, give me a random name. Bob. Okay, so I would think of blob, the blue, the green thing. So I would imagine the person full of that green stuff, and you think of Bob when you see them. And then every time you see them, you'll remember that. If you have trouble with that, then what you do is you associate it to something on their face. So if they have a pimple here, associate it to that pimple because it's a one-of-a-kind pimple. If you're having trouble, but I've never got to that point where I've needed that one.
Now, I do have this rather amazing quote about you from a fellow named Mark Cameron. Could you explain who he is?
So basically, Mark Cameron, he's essentially like I would call him a war hero, but he's not a war hero. So basically, he's helping people in Syria, he's helping people around the world in horrible situations. The reason why you hear about how like CBC and everyone hears about Syria, it's because of him. He's won every top humanitarian award in the world. He's in the worst slums of the world, but all it is basically like Doctors Without Borders. They're putting their lives on the line, helping people.
He's with the Canadian International Medical Relief Organization. And just I'll quickly show our folks in the audience. Here's a photo of him with our current and just past Governor Generals. A reputable fellow, a big name. But this is what he said about Jaymes, which I thought was quite interesting. He says, to say Jaymes White is an amazing mentalist is an understatement of the highest order. When you understand a bit of how he does what he does, he becomes even more impressive. His feats of amazing memory and observations are stunning. In the position I am, I can say without hesitation, the techniques Jaymes has taught me has saved lives. Even doing my master's at Harvard, while suffering from severe PTSD, I was the only guy who got a better memory because of his training. He is a master of his craft. In ancient cultures, he might have been seen as a prophet or a witch. Heck, today this still might be the case in some settings. I have pondered this myself, actually, but in the end, it does not matter. I just love watching him work. He is also one incredibly nice human being, which I am thankful for. Imagine him using his craft for evil. So, could you maybe expand on a little bit about Mark? So, how did your memory techniques really pay off for him to save lives?
He basically came to a show and he was done. Like he was just like, I've never seen this stuff. I deal with only doctors, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, yeah, well, they're clearly not trained the right way. But so what happened is I started teaching them techniques of how to read people because they're dealing with such horrible people that, like, I can't disclose much of it, but they're dealing with such horrible people that I'm trying to train them of how to spot them. So for example, if someone's dressed like crap, but they have a high-end watch, why do they have that high-end watch? That says a lot. Just little things like that, if you guys get my drift. Also, like I train a lot of detectives because what I'm trying to imply with the Canadian justice system is basically detectives do, when you come in, you have to write a written statement. If they can figure out who's lying, like when they're lying to them, why not press them on it? Detectives have no training at all. So these are just like easy techniques that it's kind of like, how are you not trained in these areas?
So what you're saying is when they do the written statement using basic handwriting analysis,
or
the
like
detectives could possibly pick whoever's
100%. So if the number, like, say they're like, I got here at 7 o'clock, and 7 o'clock is reverted back, or like it's a lie, like a tell, you push them on 7 o'clock. It's so easy. And everyone who's seen my handwriting stuff and the ones I train, they use it insane.
So we all have tells, basically. And they can be spoken word, how we dress, how we write.
Everything. Yeah. Like lie detection, yeah.
Okay, and Mark made an interesting point there about using your craft for evil. I won't ask you that exactly.
Well, if this doesn't work out, maybe.
But maybe I'd follow up with just, are there any other tips you can give us to use in our practical day-to-day lives that might help us? So, if we're in a business negotiation, maybe a personal negotiation, how do we tell if people are lying to us?
Okay, lying is interesting. So the easiest way to do is from handwriting. Handwriting kind of says it all, but if you're looking at body language, you got to look at 4 or 5 things. So the first thing you got to notice is eye contact. So if there's 2 versions of this. It can go either or. So if I'm in you and Kirk are talking, I'm looking at you the whole time, and then when I'm lying, I'm looking away. Like it's a change, it's a break of pattern. You got to look for that. It could be the opposite where I'm always looking away and then I look at you straight on. That's one. Number 2 is body language, like your hands. So when you're talking, you move around your hands a lot. A lot of times they're so focused on the lie, their hands lock like this. Or it could be the opposite, where the hands are locked like this, and then all of a sudden they move their hands. Again, same thing, break a pattern. Also, the third thing is the eye movement. So this is NLP. NLP is kind of been dismissed as fake, but some techniques of it are pretty accurate. So upper left, you're making it up. Upper right is kind of you're remembering a memory, right?
Oh, that I didn't know.
Yeah, so that works around 80% of the time. Basically, think of a memory right now, just in your head. Like think of it.
Oh.
And you went left. There you go. Yeah. So So it works. So that's another one, which I wouldn't rely on that. The other thing is the language. So like language is so important. So if someone is overemphasizing, so if someone stole a cookie, you go, I didn't take the cookie, you're more likely to tell the truth versus I did not take the cookie because you're enforcing it too much. So someone who's pushing it too much is mostly lying. So basically if you're dating someone and they're saying, I did not do that, and they're going too over the top, they're lying. 100%. Because someone who isn't lying, they wouldn't go, why would you go over the top? Like you're basically compensating for something else. So when you combine all that together, that's how you figure out if someone's lying or not.
I feel like I just saw several people in the crowd look at each other there for a second. Along those same lines, I know a question, and I'm sure you kind of alluded to this earlier. Is there a way to tell if someone is romantically interested in you? Like what are the signals you would pick up in that kind of case?
Okay, so romance has not been my specialty, but but it has for like others who have asked me about their partners, and I can tell you if you're late. But the thing with dating, it's totally different because a lot of people say you go opposite attract. You see all these kind of dating sites that say, oh yeah, we have this scientific thing. It's a load of crap, people. It's not real. It doesn't work. What I think it is honestly a lot of people nowadays, they want the quick thing, or they don't want to get to the time to learn someone. So you got to make sure you know what you're looking for, and honestly, just take your time. You'll meet the right person if you just don't lie. Be honest.
Maybe one other question to ask you about is, I don't know about people in the crowd, but certainly one show I've seen on television is Long Island Medium, where, I want not to believe that, I want to believe this is a television show and fake, but at the same time, it seems compelling. When psychics on television, or psychics in general, what's your opinion on that? Are there people that might have some type of gift of insight, or is this variations, people well-trained at similar skills that you have?
Well, I think I got to be careful in my answer. What I think a lot of it is, you got to remember TV is much different than live stuff. So, I have to see it live to believe it. And if they're using the same techniques I'm using it, how can you claim that you're a medium? If you look at Wicca and stuff, Wicca is interesting because they actually say in Wicca, if you have these abilities, if you have this gift, you cannot charge people. So it's one of those things. I'm not saying they're real or not, because it's not that I don't believe in mediums. I just kind of believe I haven't had one that persuaded me yet. And it's maybe because of my level of what I do for a living that's harder to impress me, right? Because, for example, the name thing, I kind of explained how the name stuff, a medium could use the same technique and get away with it. So if I said, oh yeah, I'm talking to you, and then I hit that, a medium would take credit that they're talking to someone when it was just a statistic guess. I don't know. I think everyone has their own views, and I think you're all right. It's like religion. You're all right. I like everyone having their own views. I'm open-minded. A lot of my friends are mediums, right? And we're from opposite spectrums, and I think that's what makes it cool. Is I do enjoy like a good showman, a good show. It doesn't matter if I believe it or not, right? It's not about that. Because if you're actually helping someone, does it really matter?
Now, I do have a note here, which may tie into your response to that, is to ask you about your Ouija board collection. Because if you kind of don't believe that stuff, so tell us about your Ouija board collection and how that ties into your, I guess your view on this.
I own around 100 Ouija boards from around the world, all cursed, all lovely. A lot of you, like you guys have seen some of them. Yeah, I think you've seen it, one or two. I love stuff like that. I went to school studying serial killers. Like I'm in the dark side of life. I love that kind of stuff. I love the spiritualism. I love just weird things that everyone are scared of. So like I don't mind sleeping with 100 Ouija boards in a room. Like it doesn't bother me at all. It's cool. Like what's wrong with that?
And have you ever had like any weird things happen to your Ouija boards just at home where you were like, oh my, that thing moved on its own or anything? Does that like ever happen with your collection or anything strange like that?
Not really. Like my favorite Ouija board was, it's a Parker, it's my Wish board is my favorite board. And basically what it was made in the late 1800s, early 1900s. It was actually made by a witch in Salem. And I was able to get it for like $700 or $800. And I got so lucky and got it. And I'm in love with that board. Like I try not to use it as seances or anything like that because it's like a collector's item. It's like collecting guitars, I just like Ouija boards. Who doesn't, right? Thank you.
Show of hands, who would be scared to sleep over at James's house with all those Ouija boards? Anyone? Yes, a few.
Party time.
Few hands.
It's a seance. I'm known for these.
Would you have one more demonstration for us?
Yeah, who wants to try something?
Anybody who want to volunteer?
Okay, do you want to come right here? Do you have your phone on you by any chance? No. Does anyone have a phone we could borrow? I just don't want to use mine. You would definitely, do you have an Apple computer as well?
Yeah.
You would have a small dog? Yeah. Two, yeah. What kind of dogs?
Yorkies.
Yorkies. Where's Safari? Can you go to Safari?
Yeah.
If you don't mind, I just don't know how to use. Okay, so I have a picture of myself. I basically went to Google Images and I looked up, there's like 6 or 7 pages of pictures of me, I'm just saying. Not that I look up pictures of myself, but I have a picture of myself and what I want you to do, sorry, I didn't get your name.
It's Susan.
Susan, what I want you to do right now is I want you to think of a playing card, any card you want. Got one? Say it out loud.
Ace of Diamonds.
Ace of Diamonds. Are you happy with Ace of Diamonds? I'm going to give you 5 seconds to change your mind.
No.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. What card?
Queen of Spades.
Queen of Spades. Everyone goes, are you sure you want the Queen of Spades because that's a common one?
No.
Okay, what is it?
7 of Hearts.
7 of Hearts, and I'll explain this after. 7 of Hearts, are you happy with the 7 of Hearts? Was there any way I pushed the 7 of Hearts on her? No? I don't think so. Yeah. Do you mind Kirk scrolling up and just reading the bottom nice and loudly? This is just a picture on Google. It's my website and
We'll choose 7 of Hearts.
Show everyone.
The website says you will choose 7 of hearts?
Oh.
Read. Right. The bottom. Yeah, so thanks. I can give her a round of applause.
Thank you so much.
Thanks.
So I'm guessing maybe that wasn't as random as it seemed.
Never is.
Never is.
So most common cards, just if you guys want to know kind of how that's done quickly, is most common cards are Queen of Hearts for females. Guys tend to go Jack of Spades. I thought you were going to think of the Queen of Spades, to be honest, originally. I wanted you to think of the 7 of Hearts because that's what it was. Basically, 7 of Hearts is a 4. So if I asked someone to think of a number between 1 and 10, what are the most common numbers you think of? 7 then 3. So I had to make her, I basically didn't give her a choice to change her mind, even though it looked like she had the choice. She had no choice. I kept pushing her, right? So basically, on the third choice, I knew it was going to be the 1 to 10 option. I knew the second one or first one was going to be the Queen of Spades or clubs. It didn't really matter because it didn't matter where you were because I needed to get you to the 7 of Hearts. It looked pretty clean, did it not? And so what happened is the first card was irrelevant. It didn't matter. Second card, I knew she was going to go to the Queen of whatever, and then I needed her to jump one more time. That's why I kept making her change her mind. And then I said, "Is this a free choice? Are you happy with that?" Girls always pick hearts. So that's a quick demonstration. Basically, we eliminated 3 earlier because we were talking about something about a 3 earlier. No one's going to think of 3. It's going to be 7. If you have someone to think of a number between 1 and 10, it's 7 and 3. If you want someone to think of 3 versus 7, you say, think of a number between 1 and 10 like 7. The fact I said 7 out loud, you're now going to pick 3. So that 3 of Hearts, but the thing is it was 7 of Hearts, so I was kind of stuck with that. If it was a guy, I probably would have found a different picture and probably went, with you, I would have went, for example, Jack of Spades. Because Spades is a more mysterious, kind of skeptical side. So a lot of guys think of Jack of Spades. But I would have had to, it probably would have been on your 3rd or 4th choice. But it would have given the illusion that you could have stuck out one of those. There's no way. Because you saw how persuasive I was. I was like, are you sure of that? And I stepped back. If I had to step back, give her space to change her mind. If I went into her, she would have had to, if for example, you said the 7 of hearts first, I would have went really close to you and you would have not changed your mind. Body language, right? If someone you want information.
The physical distance.
Yeah, it's really important. It's really important. Did you not notice me kind of being weird standing up? Going,
And coming closer.
Exactly. So you're giving the illusion that she has the choice when she doesn't have a choice at all.
Like, have you ever used this, like, negotiating a car sale or something? Like,
All the time.
all the time. Now, as we move into the last segment here, as we are the Haunted Walk, I do want to talk about an experience you've been running the past 2 years called the Seance. Show of hands, how many people have been to the Seance? Yeah, okay. So I took a bunch of my colleagues, tour guides from the Haunted Walk, all of them very used to working in haunted, creepy as heck places. I think we broke a couple of them that night. Myself, there were moments when I just kept turning around expecting something or someone to be standing right behind me. Just a really incredibly unique experience. I'm wondering if there's someone who might be able to jump up here just so I can ask them a few questions about it to share what your experiences might have been there. Yeah, come on up. Hey. All right, what's your name?
Andy.
Andy, welcome, Andy. So you, when did you do the seance?
It was actually on Halloween at midnight. It was probably the scariest night to choose.
Obviously, we don't want to spoil elements of the show, but generally, how have you described the experience to people? What was it like?
It was my first ever Jaymes White experience, and I was a giant skeptic. And I would say that there's still that small bit of me in my head that says, really, can he actually do this? It'd blow your mind. The stuff that happened in that house. I almost ran out.
I believe
it's in your head.
Yeah.
So, the very basic concept, and James, jump in if I'm not explaining this well, but it is kind of based on a Victorian seance in a haunted location. And the idea is, seemingly, you are able to, or we are as a group, able to maybe connect with something beyond, and weird stuff might happen.
So this has never been done before, to be honest. It's not like a jump thing. It's in your head. It's all psychological. And there's some stuff in the house you can explain. None of us can explain. Right. It's just so crazy. But when you plant the right seeds and you do the right thing, it's considered. There's a reason why it's considered the scariest gathering in Ontario, right?
And
is it the
everybody
scariest?
in the house also sort of works together to get this build up in your own head. So if you're thinking one thing and you're thinking another, now I'm second guessing what I think's going on, and you start to get really nervous. And then the stuff that he's able to guide you to and show you, it's unreal.
What's crazy is the whole concept of the seance. When I wanted to do a seance was based on the movie It. So when you watch the movie It, it's about a team working together to conquer the negative side. So basically, that's what we want to do as a seance: is find the most haunted place we could get, and basically replicate a seance that's never been done before. And the past 2 years, they've sold out in a week each time. It's been crazy how we sold out 120 shows last year, and then the year before, all 60 of them sold out in 4 hours. It was crazy how fast these are selling and how scared people are getting, and how many messages I get. When are you doing the seance? I'm like, you want to come to my other show? No, when are you doing the seance? It's like, okay. So yeah.
Thank you very much for joining us up here. It really does seem like that show is hit a nerve. Is there anyone else who would be interested in sharing their experience in the seance? And what is your name?
Renee.
Renee, welcome.
Thank you.
And you have been, I was going to say a participant, I almost said a victim of the seance.
No, victim's the right word.
And so, give us kind of someone who's been on it, what would we need to know?
It is so creepy. It's crazy creepy. And you're right when you say that everyone seems to get into this mindset because the energy really builds everyone up. And everyone, skeptics, would probably say, oh, well, it's just because everybody's thinking the same way. But it's no, there's something to an energy. If you actually do believe in ghosts, there's an energy to it, which means if people are going in with the mindset hoping to see something or to have something happen, it's more likely to happen with that kind of mindset. And so when I was there, I didn't sleep that night. Things got really crazy, and at one point James actually said, guys, I'm really sorry, we gotta cut this short, we gotta get out of the house. And I was really grateful because things were pretty. It just some stuff happened that was so creepy. You just get this chill that goes through your entire body. And there was just a moment where James was just all yeah, we got to go. We don't want to hurt you. We don't want to we don't want to anger the spirit. We don't want to. We don't want anyone to get hurt, because there was just a couple of freaky things. Did bring a Ouija board, and nothing really crazy happened on the board, but weird stuff happened while they were using the board. And I'm freaked out by Ouija boards, so I probably would be one of those people that wouldn't sleep at James's house. But because all of the Ouija board stuff was going on, or while all of that stuff was going on, other things were happening, and you just wondered, what's that connection? And I have always been afraid of Ouija boards, so of course I'm like, it's the board.
That's awesome. Thank you very much for joining us. You want more? Anybody else? Yeah, come on up for sure. And what's your name again? Tammy, yes. Tammy is back. And Tammy, did you do the seance last year or the year before?
Last year.
Last year, okay. And how was your night in the haunted house?
It was good. So it is exactly psychologically fitting. Like, you walk in, if you're a skeptic, you walk in skeptical. And then there's people in there that are walking in full-hearted into it. It's the skeptics who lead the group around, basically, because they want to go off on their own and do what they want to do. And then they find something crazy. And then the person who knows that the skeptic is a skeptic and he saw something, then that person is in. And it just, one after another, everyone builds the whole momentum of the whole thing, and you're scared to death by the time you're done.
Yeah, because the funniest thing is the demeanor. So everyone's like going in all giddy and stuff, and by the end they're just like crying and like, it's all quiet. What just happened?
Yeah.
And having done it, is this the type of thing you'd want to do again?
Oh, yeah. Like, I went, and then as soon as I got home, I bought tickets for the rest of my whole family to go. And
nice.
then I sent them, but I didn't go with them because I didn't want to spoil any, like, I didn't want to be a part of the energy.
Yeah.
Like, my own separate energy is different. I want them to have their own
And
experience.
how did they make out?
They freaked out. Yeah. Like, one of my daughters was involved in, like, the channeling part. So she channeled some stuff and freaked right out, and that was great. And then, and then I went to work, and I told people at work, and then they all went. Yeah, but I stayed separate, so I didn't want to influence at all, because we don't want research or anything like that, right? You want to go in
fresh.
Fresh.
Yes.
Yeah, so I didn't tell them experience. I just said, you got to do this. You got to do it. And they freaked out. And then every person that I told has now been to everything since that James has done.
That's wonderful. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thanks.
And it doesn't really seem, having been on a few of the shows, I mean, once folks get a taste of what you do, it seems like they just come to everything. Like, it really, they really struck a nerve.
I definitely have the most loyal fans, I think, out of... Like, yeah. Actually, I'm really good at that, by the way.
We know.
Yeah, you've seen it firsthand. But yeah, I definitely have the most loyal fans out there. Like, it's quite overwhelming, quite cool, the support I actually get. Like, especially because, yes, I tour around Canada, but whenever I come to Ottawa, everyone's like, when's your next show? When's your show? And it all sells out so fast.
So with the seance, you've had two kind of sold out runs now, 2 years where you've just blown the doors off. If you had like a wish to make it even better, what would you do?
So basically the past 2 years, we've found haunted locations in communities. So like people in the neighborhood would talk about this haunted house, that something's happened there. The next step for me, or the next thing I want to do, is I want to go to historical locations that are known and do seances there. So imagine how crazy that would be.
Places with a reputation for being...
Yeah.
Well, what do you say? Should we do it? I'm happy to announce that this summer, the Haunted Walk and Jaymes White Entertainment will be bringing the seance to Black Creek Pioneer Village in Toronto. The seance will be taking place at one of the oldest buildings in the city, and certainly one of the most haunted. This is an actual spot. Last October, I believe it was, maybe the October before, we had people on our Haunted Walk tours there actually see an apparition and take off running after it. The only time I think that has ever happened in my 15 years. So let's go have a seance there. I think is the idea. Tickets will be on sale for the seance at Black Creek Friday, June 1st. And we do expect them to sell out like a bullet. So if you want tickets, you're going to want to keep an eye both on hauntedwalk.com and jameswhite.com so you can grab them as soon as they go up. But would you folks like a chance to win some free tickets right now to the seance? Here's what we're going to do. We're going to do the reverse of what's been happening today and see if we can read James's mind based upon some of the things he has been telling us. So, James, I'm going to ask you to secretly write down two numbers, both between 1 and 50.
Yeah.
Okay, that's good. Yeah, so we'll hide that. So, just flip that down. Yeah, you're trying to guess what the two numbers James just wrote down.
Oh, the two numbers.
Yeah, we're trying to see if you can match them up.
Oh, is it?
Has everyone got their two numbers selected? Okay, please stand up if one of your numbers is 13. Interesting. We have one hit. Congratulations. You will be getting some tickets. The other number, did anyone pick 37? Oh, 1, 2, 3, 4. Did you happen to pick both 13 and 37? No.
One number.
You just picked one and you got 37. That's amazing.
33 and 37.
33 and
I
37?
had 12 and 37 and changed them last.
What's that?
You changed it at the last second? Okay. But that's pretty amazing. So, about half of our audience guessed one of those two numbers. Please feel free to take a seat. So each of you who, the prize is going to be, if you got both numbers right, you get 2 free tickets. For these, you'll get 1 free ticket each to Toronto. Can you share, how did that happen?
So basically, the 13 was the harder one, but if anyone knows me, they know I'm going to pick 666 or 13. Because 13 is that. The other thing is 37 is a psychological force. So, basically half the audience thought of 37 because you were thinking it too, you just didn't write it down. But 37, if you ask someone to think a number between 1 and 50, what are the most two common numbers? 7 and 3. 37. It's that easy.
Well, congratulations. Those of you who have successfully guessed one of the two numbers will be getting a free ticket. For everyone else, you're going to unfortunately have to buy your way in. Tickets will be on sale Friday, June 1st. And I do want to let our Ottawa listeners know we hope to have another major announcement a little later this summer. Stay tuned for that announcement. James, I definitely want to thank you for joining us today and showing us your skills. Quite amazing and extremely fascinating. And I know I'm going to be thinking about a lot of that stuff when I'm having conversations with people or just trying to remember where I put my keys and that kind of thing. Big thank you to everyone who joined us in studio today. You've been a wonderful audience of participating. Maybe let's give James a round of applause. For everyone out there in podcast land, thank you for joining us. As always, additional thanks to Michelle Dennis, our audio editor, who will put this together and make us all sound wonderful. To Kevin McLeod at incompetech.com for the additional music. To follow James, you can check him. His website is jameswhite.com. Haunted Walk, of course. We're hauntedwalk.com and Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, all at Haunted Walk, and we'd love to connect with you there. Until we meet again, sweet dreams.